What is good, y'all? Keep up here, and here we are for the MLP Season 7. Yes, I did take a break Season 6, and yes, I did take a break recording. And for right now, I had to be a little bit quiet, but yes, we are back for the MLP. I'm so excited to do this. I'm so excited to get back on YouTube and actually start recording. But yeah, I'll be doing this league all the way through. No breaks, no leaving the league or anything. This is the team that I drafted. The way we did it was that we did a snake order draft where you had 120 points to spend. I believe I have 4 left, and then you're given 25 to spend on the Z captains. You have up to 3, and the way it worked was that if, like, say Blacephalon was 16 points and Rotom was 9 points, those would be my 2 Z captains for 25 points. So yeah, that's how that worked, and this is the team that I'm actually super excited to use. I did play week 1, so I'll also be showing the week 1 team builder just real quick before I end this off. But I did want to give you guys just a little look at my team. First off, my first pick was Blacephalon. This is all in order of where I picked them, by the way. But anyway, first mine was Blacephalon. I love Blacephalon so much, just because it's so fun to use. It's not, in my opinion, the greatest thing in the world. There were probably better things on the board, but I decided this time I really wanted to have fun with what I picked, so I did pick Blacephalon. Its special attack is clearly its biggest strength. Its attack isn't great, but it really doesn't have the move pool to justify pulling it off. But its special attack without even Modest, and we're going to show Modest real quick, it's 401. With Modest, that bumps up to 441. Very few things are taking that hit. It also has access to a couple moves. Of course, Dark Pulse, Foul Play is nice. Even Knockoff is pretty good. But Psyshock is absolutely perfect for Spit F tanks, like, say, Tentacruel, things like that would normally switch in on Shadow Balls, Mind Blowns, and Fire Blast and Flamethrowers. The other move it does have is Mind Blown, which is a base 150 move, but you lose half your HP. It's essentially a Z move in itself, but you lose half of your HP. It's something I really like to use, but it's something at the same time that isn't the greatest in the world. This thing has access to screens, if I was dumb enough to actually do that. And yeah, overall, it's just a really fun offensive mon. It could be a stall breaker, except its defense is like -4, so it's not great. But Shadow Ball, Flamethrower, HP Ice, you can hit everything super hard with it, and that's why I picked it. Its best sets are likely, to me, I love Scarf. Scarf is probably my favorite. But from Specs to Life Orb to E-Belt, this thing can really dent teams, and it's super high speed tier. I believe it's 344. Yeah, 344 base 107. So just slower than things like Virizion, Keldeo, and base 150s. But definitely fast indeed. That's the only thing I really had to worry about. Base 110s and these fighting legendaries. But otherwise, the speed tier is amazing. It's a really fun mon to use, and I'm so glad I got to pick up my first pick. It was 16 points. And I'm sorry, I don't really remember the point values of most of these mons, but I think we'll have fun with them anyway. So next up, we do have Rotom-Wash. I was thinking I need something to tank the hits that Blacephalon won't. So that's things like ground type moves, water type moves, even ghost type, etc., etc. Because its Spadef and its defense are so good. Its HP isn't the greatest in the world, but who really cares? Rotom just got defogged with Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, so that is absolutely perfect. It makes it a really good defogger on this rather offensive team. Volt Switch, T-Bolt, Hydro Pump. I'm not sure if it got too many new things beyond that. As far as I know, it got nothing really useful. I guess Disarming Voice if you're about it. But otherwise, it's pretty much the same old OU Rotom-Wash. I like it in a defensive set most of the time. It can be offensive, and I think that's where the surprise factor comes in. Most of the time, you wouldn't really expect this thing to be as offensive, as I may or may not use it every once in a while. I'll say week 1, I did use it in an offensive manner, and it really did come through. But yeah, I'm also super excited to use this. So you'll see that my physical special split in this on this team isn't the greatest in the world. I do have a lot more special attackers, and my physical attackers are pretty either just way defensive like Hippowdon, or way weak, or way like not really defensive at all like Lycanroc and Arrow, which is 2 rock types that really compound a fighting weakness that I may have. But Virizion can go both ways, and that makes it really fun. I mean, base 90 attack and base 90 special attack means it can run Sword Stance, it can run Calm Mind, and it has really good stab moves. Of course, it has close combat. It has Giga Drain if we want to run special. It has Leaf Blade. HP Ice, even Quick Attack is pretty useful if I'm at +2. Sacred Sword and Secret Sword are fantastic moves. Stone Edge is great. Even has Synthesis if I actually want to be that guy. Zen Headbutt is pretty good for some form of coverage. Just a really fun mon. It's pretty versatile. I picked it because of its Spadef bulk. It would be able to take on things that Rotom and Blacephalon may not be able to, because I feel like Rotom's a lot better Phys Def than it is especially defensive. So I really like this. It really has the ability to tank a couple hits and get moving. Most notably, its defense isn't the greatest thing in the world, but it's pretty bulky on the Spadef side. So I really don't think that'll be a huge problem. I can totally run Scarf on this. I don't think I would. It's not really like a Scarf Keldeo where it stabs and its move pool really helps it. But regardless, this should be pretty fun. I did run I do believe I ran Sword Stance on this, and it is one of my Z captains. This and Meloetta are my 2 Z captains. So yeah, very excited to have this. This is a mon that I haven't really gotten to experiment with in League format. I love it in NU. It's one of my favorite NU mons, but to use it in League and to use it in a tier or in a way outside of the never used tier is actually pretty exciting for me. Next up, we do have the big old hippo, Hippowdon. Man, do I love this thing. This thing is basically the defensive stalwart of the team. Obviously, super bulky. Earthquake does 1,000,000. Basic 112 special attack means if I put only a little bit of investment, it's so hard hitting. Its Spadef isn't great, but it is boosted by Sandstream. I can also, with its high HP, I can invest in it and do perfectly fine. Its defense is amazing as well. So really, I think this is a fantastic pick for me. It was only something like 12 points, so I thought it was super worth it. One of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potential rock setters I have, which is pretty cool. Has decent coverage. Crunch isn't bad for psychic types. Fire Fang for steals. Things like Scizor, that would be pretty good. Ice Fang for dragons. Iron for fairies. It has reliable recovery, which is fantastic. Toxic, overall fantastic stalwart. I think it'll be pretty good on a team where it's a lot more offensive than what I would usually use. If you guys have watched my my lives, my gameplays, I'm pretty bulky offense oriented. So to have something that would be at least useful on bulky offense to balance is really nice for me, because the rest of these don't really fit that mold. You could argue Xatu does, but the rest just kind of don't. Next up, we do have Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl is so fun. I was so excited to get this thing. Not only can I use it as a... does it get taunt? Yeah, it does get taunt, great. Not only can I use it as an HO rock setter, it's also just a really hard-hitting Pokemon. Now, obviously, its defensive stats and even its HP leave something to be desired, but its attack is super high. Having Earthquake, having Stone Edge, having Aerial Ace, it just has a bunch of moves that you can't really predict its moveset. With Aqua Tail, Crunch, it can even defog if I really do need that. It's just really unpredictable, and I really like it. I really like it that way because it's pretty hard to prep for. I mean, Priority can do it, but honestly, that's the only thing that really messes with this. It's such a super high speed tier. 359 without even a plus speed nature. I believe that gets to 394 with say a Jolly nature or a Timid, whatever it is. 394. So yeah, it does get to Tapu Koko range, and I feel like this is a pretty viable Scarfer. It doesn't get U-turn, but it seems like a pretty good Scarfer for speed control. Very few things are going to outspeed this, and when it has a Scarf, it outspeeds almost everything viable in League format. Of course, that means it'll speed tie a Scarf, Coco. But if that's what it's speed tying, frankly, I don't care. It's amazing. So we do have Smeargle. I did kind of want to give this team a kind of HO feel, but at the same time, it is a pretty versatile group. It's not exactly a team that takes a bunch of hits, but it is a team that can really create problems if you aren't ready for hazards and a lot of just hard-hitting stuff. Essentially, if you knock one thing down, everything else can revenge kill, so on and so on. Smeargle was essentially my web setter, spore user, etc., etc. But it can also be used, and I thought this was really cool. You can use it to just screw a specific lead on someone's team. That's what I did week 1. You guys will have to see if it works or not, and I'll show you guys the team builder that I did make. But I did make a Smeargle specifically to mess with a lead Absol, and that was really cool. But obviously, this thing's major niche is just in setting hazards. It's pretty nice. I like it a lot. Counter Mirror can just screw anything that actually does it. Is it allowed to use Mirror? Oh, I can't spell anything right. Yeah, Mirror. So pretty much anything that knocks it down to its sash, it can just immediately kill in return. So yeah, not much to say about this. Everyone knows what it does. It's just something I really like, and it fits the mold of the team super well, if you ask me. It makes the fighting weakness still pretty pronounced. I have how many fighting resists? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, not even 4. 3, which isn't the best. And fighting is, to me, a really good type when it comes to draft format. But I think we can probably overcome it. Next up, we do have Mega Ampharos. We got Fabio, and I'm so excited to use this. Its stats actually are a lot better than I thought it was. Yet again, its speed leaves something to be desired, but even its attack is not that bad. Base 95 isn't the greatest in the world, but that means I can still run physical sets. That means it's not really out of the question. I can do that and have some success and have people actually legitimately prep for it. Obviously, its special attack, which I haven't touched on yet, is Blacephalon-esque. It's actually better. I even noticed that, but super high speed is awful, but it's a very bulky Pokemon with a really good move pool, from Brick Break to even Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, Fire Punch, even Focus Punch. It's able to do a lot of things. Power Gem is good. I'm not sure what for. I'd have to think about that. But it has so many ways to hurt you, and with Rest Talk, Volt Switch, Dragon Pulse or something. It can be really fat, it can be really annoying, and it can essentially 6-0 another team if it's used correctly. Additionally, did it get Dragon Dance? I forget what it got. It got some set of move. I know it got Agility. I think it might have gotten Swords. I don't know. But it's a pretty viable physical hitter. And on a team that kind of sorely misses physical hitters, definitely wouldn't mind using it a couple weeks for that. Just going to go through real quick, show you guys all of its moves. Overall, pretty fun. I'm very excited to use it. I've never used it, period. I didn't bring it to my week 1 match, as you guys will see, but I actually really do want to see what I can do with it. I'm very excited to have it. Next up, we do have Lycanroc, our second rock type, and still kind of fitting with the hyper offense theme. I picked this to go with Hippowdon because of its ability Sand Rush. I could throw a Band on it or a Life Orb or anything like that and actually just have it destroy things. It can get Taunt, Endeavor, Stealth Rock, so it's pretty good when you're just looking purely at hyper offense. Accelerock is amazing. Rock Priority that it only gets that. Joyrun, it finally got a ground move with Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and it gets things like Fire Fang, gets things like Iron Head, things like that. It can set up, as I said, Sword Stance, Stone Edge, Sucker Punch is great. And all in all, I just thought it would be a really fun sweeper to use. I hate to bring this up, but the fighting type weakness gets even more pronounced with this one. But its ability to break and its ability to just do a lot of things, I think it'd probably be able to do pretty well. With Sandstorm up, yet again, Scarfers do not touch this thing. Another Sand Rush Pokemon would maybe be able to contend with it, but otherwise, nothing is outspeeding it, which means it can be a really viable sweeper toward the end of the game. Rocks, for hyper offense, which this team is absolutely set up to do. This fills plenty of roles. Not exactly a defensive role, but then again, I think I have enough pretty defensive Pokemon to kind of make up for what this thing lacks in that department. And yeah, that's really all I had to say about this. I'm very excited to use it. I love using it in other tiers. I used it in OU for a while with Tyranitar, just to kind of have fun with it. So I have at least some experience with it. It's not the greatest. I think with Z-Move probably would have been a little bit better. But my Z Captain's already locked in, so no huge deal. Next up, we do have Xatu. Magic Bounce Xatu. Amazing. Kind of erases the need for a defogger on some variants of this team. Of course, it gets defog as well. This thing is basically kind of just a fat pivot, really. I do believe it gets Wish, so I can't Wish Pass if I really wanted to. But this thing's main niche is just Psyshock, Roost, U-turn. Rocky Helmet. I can T-Wave things, cripple them, just move on. I picked this because I needed a good fighting resist. This thing 4 times resists. Its defense, although it doesn't look great, isn't really that bad. I can throw Rocky Helmet on it, and with reliable recovery, it does fairly well against mons like that. If we look at its move pool, it does have Grass Knot, which is really good for heavier Pokemon. So if we're going up against Swampert, Seismitoads, etc., Grass Knot is amazing. Nightshade always does 100 damage. Of course, it gets Psyshock, it gets U-turn, Roost, even Tailwind. Thunder Wave, although most mons get that, is a very important move on this Pokemon. And really, all in all, it's just here to be annoying, to be pretty annoying. I don't think it really has too much offensive potential, although it can probably do a little bit of work if I did pick the right set. This is mostly here to just kind of annoy people and to check the fighting types that I'll probably have to encounter. Like week 1, I had to deal with Infernape, and I didn't bring this, but for pure fighting types, this thing is if you ask me, absolutely amazing. Next up, we do have Clefairy, another rocker. I thought this was just a fun pick. I've used it plenty of times before in NU. I've even used it in OU just to see how people react to it. It does have a pretty diverse kind of role. I can get rocks up, but I can also be level 1 and use, Endeavor. I can do, stuff like that. Gets Heal Bell, soft boiled. It's just generally annoying. If my opponent doesn't bring knockoff, this thing can actually just stall out an entire team. Its reliable recovery and its ability to just generally annoy things is absolutely perfect. And for a team like this that needs fighting resist, that needs just a general defensive and SPDEF stalwart, this is great if my opponent yet again does not bring knockoff. Last but not least, we have another really great SPDEF tank and really, really strong special attacker, and that's Meloetta. Meloetta with Serene Grace is... I don't really know what I can use, with Serene Grace, but all I know is that it can do some real work. Psyshock and Psychic are great. It's a fantastic Ghost Resist because I don't really have any of those. This is a Ghost Immune, frankly. So I can hit with Shadow Ball. We can set up a Calm Mind. Calm Mind's a fantastic set for this. It gets really good stab moves. Dazzling Gleam. Even Hyper Voice can do a million. With Relic Song, we can turn it into a physical variant, so close combat becomes a lot better. Drain Punch, Facade, Frustration. It also can pack Heal Bell, things like that. It has plenty of coverage moves to make sure that nothing can really just straight up beat this thing. It's one of those mons where you never see it just die in one hit, which is probably my favorite thing about it. And also another thing with this team is that it can actually run Trick Room at a decent clip with things like Hippo, Ampharos, Xatu, Clef. I at least have some kind of core to do it. I'm not saying that it's the best. By no means am I saying that, but this team definitely can be pretty diverse if I do plan to use it in that way. So that is all the Pokemon I've drafted. As for week 1, I will be uploading my week 1 battle. It will be a post-com. The other ones should probably be live unless I don't really have like the correct, situation for that. But all the other ones should be live. This one will be a post-com just to start off the year. This is my week 1 team. I brought Meloetta, Arrow, Veriz, Rotom-Wash, Hippo, and the Smeargle. And I really want to go over this Smeargle set. I thought this would be a really fun set. It's interesting to say the least. It's very interesting. Everything's calculated. The 40 attack, along with Technician and Fake Out, make sure that it does just a certain amount of damage to Absol. My opponent did have Mega Absol, so the goal was have him lead that because he knows I have a Web Setter. Just kill it in 3 turns. Flare Cannon would do like 68 or something, and then E-Speed would outspeed the priority of, say, a Sucker Punch. So then before he knows that he's lost the biggest threat to my team, because if you look at my team and you look back at Mega Absol, that thing just absolutely destroyed me. I also have Webs. Just because his team was pretty offensive, he packed things like Infernape, like Torterra, which I was super afraid would Rock Polish. And just things like that would actually give my team a lot of trouble if I truly let it. Next up, we did bring defensive Hippowdon. This was mostly to deal with his Infernape. Infernape was another one of the mons that really messed with me. Obviously, I get Rocks, so that is my Rock Setter for the game. Slack Off and Earthquake are essentially just staple moves. And Whirlwind was there to make sure things like Gengar, things like Infernape, which he had, just wouldn't be able to set up on me. I'd be able to get it out there as fast as I can. And I probably should have put some Spadef on this thing, but I just went all defensive because I only wanted this in on certain mons, like his Empoleon, his Infernape, etc., etc. So it did its job. I mostly just made sure it would take on what it needed to take on and nothing else. Next up, we do have Kenmore, the Rotom-Wash. This thing is specifically set to, I think it was to outspeed Gengar by 1 point. Something like that. Outspeed Gengar, outspeed Infernape by 1 point. And I ran Modest so that I can hit as hard as I could. I probably should have put Trick on this because I did play against a Licky Licky. He did bring a Wish Licky Licky. So I probably could have just totally stopped it and replaced Defog with Trick. But regardless, this thing was kind of the secret weapon that I wanted to bring. I didn't think he'd be ready to bring or to deal with a Scarf Rotom. I think he would have assumed that it was defensive with Will-O-Wisp to take on his Torterra. So this was kind of the ace in the hole. I did reveal it later on that it was Scarf, but this was just kind of my weapon of choice, and I think it did go pretty darn well. We did bring Fighting Z Virizion. It was originally going to be SD over Quick Attack. However, I didn't really see a reason to bring SD because his team was just so scary. He had Gengar that obviously outsped. He had Nape, which he can run Scarf, or he can run Life Orb, Mach Punch, or things, Choice Band Mach Punch, to where it just would have put me out of commission if I didn't win a speed tie. So I was just thinking Quick Attack to get some chip if I'm pretty low. Fightinium Z was pretty much a nuke. It hit pretty much everything except for his Gengar for neutral, or if it was resisted, pretty decent damage. 278 attack is definitely nothing to laugh at, especially when it is a stab fight Z close combat. So HP Ice was for I forget. He had Immense. He had Salamence. That was what it was. That was what resisted close combat. I had HP Ice for Immense. Quick Attack also to pick it off if he set up. Just a pretty weird kind of Virizion set, but one that I thought would do pretty good work, and you guys will see if it did do good work or not. However, this game did teach me that there are a lot of ways to use Virizion that I didn't really think of and still would have worked. Next up, we have check out my Parrot, which is my Aerodactyl Choice Scarf. Ice Fang yet again for his Ment, even for his Torterra. Aerial Ace because he had very few things that resisted it. And then Earthquake and Rock Slide. Rock Slide was pretty much for accuracy. That was the only reason I brought it. But between Aerial Ace, Earthquake, and Rock Slide, he had no resist to all three of those. And I don't think there were resists in the game to all three of those. So that's what I brought. Pretty much, this was here to screw Infernape too. This was set specifically to outspeed Scarf Gengar, while Kenmore was made only to specifically outspeed regular Gengar and regular Infernape. So this thing was my best speed control. He had nothing to outspeed it unless he set up his Salamence to +2. So this was a pretty safe bet to bring. And I was considering bringing Tailwind over Rock Slide. So then, in case he ever did set up or he ever did have Scarf Mons that would have messed with me, I would have been able to at least do something about it. However, Shay helped me build the team, and we just decided against it. We just thought nothing really resists these three moves, so we may as well bring that. Lastly, we did bring Waifu on the low, which is Meloetta. Colbur Berry specifically for the Mega Absol. Calm Mind and Psyshock. Obviously, Calm Mind to set up, Psyshock to do a billion to anything. Hyper Voice and Shadow Ball. So the only thing that he had that would deal with Hyper Voice well was his Gengar. And his Gengar conceivably wouldn't hit me for very much. And he either had to go for a poison move or like Dark Pulse for some reason if he had it. So we packed Shadow Ball and Psyshock just to make sure nothing could go wrong there. And yeah, that's how the team was built. Very strong, modest. You'll notice I put a lot of plus attack natures. We had let's see, modest Rotom. We had Adamant, Arrow. I don't think this was, yeah. This was even, okay, it was Naive. But the whole point is this team is so offensive that I kind of have to make it that way. So then it'll get just a little bit extra damage on everything I need to get rid of. So I'll show you guys the replay to my Week 1 match in the next video. Please like, comment, and subscribe for your Orlando Magikarp. I'm so happy to be doing this again. Again, I'm Kip Up, and I hope you guys enjoy. You guys will see this soon. I'll talk to you guys soon.